Hello, I'm Brian. I have a couple of new plants that I want to show you, and then we'll plant one and try to propagate another. This banana tree in the back, or banana plant, it's a dwarf variety. It doesn't get taller than 8 feet. I saw it at the garden center a couple days ago. I slept on it, and then I decided that I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. It's got a really cool variegated leaves. It's got this blood red and against this really nice and dark green. So that's why they call it a blood banana. It's from Indonesia and the Sumatra area. That's where it's native. And then this sage here, I happened to be at the farmer's market and walked by, and I found really neat mutation on it. This variegated section here, I'm going to try to propagate. So we'll do that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and plant the blood banana, and then come back later and propagate this sage. Okay, we're in the front yard now, and if you have been following since the front yard permaculture video, you remember that this was guessed as a pink abellia, but it's been since discovered that this is a firecracker plant or cigar plant. It's a very fast growing, good biomass plant. I cut it back less than 3 weeks ago, all the way back to where it just branches, and you can see all the growth since. It's very, very fast growing. We'll be getting flowers pretty soon too. And speaking of flowers, the jasmine is blooming now, and we have these pretty flowers. Not only that, the front door smells really, really nice. And on this other side here is another one, and it has these cool pom-pom like flowers, and they're basically the flowers are basically this plant here, where this is a single flower. Basically that one has 3 of these stacked on top of each other. So I'll take one of those apart and show you at the end of the video. It's pretty cool. That was pretty cool to discover. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start planting the blood or banana in this spot here. And since it doesn't get taller than 8 feet, we won't have a issue with it hitting the top of the eaves here. Right next to it, if you remember, this is the remains of a cranberry hibiscus. It just didn't do very well, and it died. And once again, before it died, it made these seed pods. I haven't collected them all, and at some point I'll remove that tree, that dead tree, and replant it with this one. It's offspring, which I grew from its seed. It's a little bit wilted right now because it's dry, but I'm gonna try planting it in the same spot. So yeah, let's go ahead and dig a hole and plant this banana. And in the hole, I'll be, since it's mostly clay, be adding some this Kellogg organic garden soil. It has a lot of mulch, a lot of forest products like sawdust and mulch which will help. And at the very bottom of this pail is some peat moss. And our California clay is pretty alkaline, and the peat moss will also help with adding some acidity to the soil. I plan on doing a comprehensive soil episode, and I think I'm going to call it the dirt on soil. I'm in the process of making that, working on the video, so hopefully I'll have that up soon, and you can watch that too and learn about how I mix my soil. Okay, we'll really go ahead and plant the banana plant now. I started by moving the mulch out of the way, and once it was cleared, I discovered that there were some drip lines that needed to be set aside or moved aside. That took a little bit longer than planned, but once they were moved aside, I started to dig the hole. The hole that I'm digging today is pretty much the size of the container that the banana plant is in. The recommended hole for most plantings is twice as deep and twice as wide. The soil here is actually pretty loose and moist, so I'm not going to follow that recommendation today. In the hole, I put in the soil amendment, and I like to mix the soil amendment with the clay in there to get that all mixed up. And after I put in the plant, there will be a gap, and I fill the gap in with the soil that I just mixed and removed. Once it's planted, I don't normally compact the soil with my hands nor any kind of tools because that runs the risk of disturbing the roots, which then may cause transplant shock. So what I do is I fill the soil to level, and then I give it a good watering. The water will naturally bring the soil and fill the gaps that's underneath that you can't see. So once it's filled, you'll see that the ground is sunken in a little bit. That's where I will top it off with more soil and give it a good watering, and pretty much repeat until I feel comfortable with it and feel that the hole is no longer containing a lot of air pockets. So that's my method and process for planting trees. Okay, looks like our blood banana is planted now. And when I positioned it, I positioned the newer leaf out facing outward so it can get the sun. And the newer leaf is the one that is lighter in color. Generally, that's how you tell which ones are the newer leaves on plants. And then in a few days, I'm going to take off this support here. The banana felt pretty sturdy and it had a pretty good base. And these are pretty tolerant plants, so they'll be fine without this stake here. More than that, right now it's constricting the banana plant. So it's planted, and let's go and propagate that sage. Okay, there's many ways to go about propagating plants, and the safest way is probably called ground layering, where you make a nick at the base of the stem and you put it, you mound soil on top of it. Eventually roots will come out of where you nick it. The reason why it's the safest is because most of the stem is still attached to the plant, and that way it's more likely the stem to stay alive during the time it makes new roots. That's the safest way. It's sometimes the slower way, and at the moment it's going to be the more effortful way because I'll have to go and plant this in the ground and then wait for this to happen. I'm going to take a risk by taking this entire stem off and propagating it by putting it in water, and we run the risk of the whole stem not rooting and drying out, and we lose this guy. I was looking around the plant and I see some other variegated mutations on it, so I think we can kind of hedge our bet a little bit. This is a really nice amount of variegation, variegated leaves, and there's a little bit, so I'm gonna go for it. So I'm gonna snip it off and propagate this guy by cutting. Okay. So here it is. Let's hope it grows. We're gonna take off all of these leaves here and stems. So the thing with propagating, the thing that causes it to have the most amount of issues is actually the cutting drying out. And plants perspire through their leaves. So you'll see when people propagate plants, they take all the leaves off. And sometimes, to be certain, they'll even put it in, they'll put a bag to cover it so that it stays nice and humid in there and they don't lose too much of it. This is kind of an interesting growth here. It's a cluster, so I don't really know what to do as far as removing the leaves. So I'm just gonna go for it and just take everything off here. Take all these leaves. It's gonna evaporate, at least the big ones. I know the the small ones, they'll probably just dry out. So we'll take all these leaves here, take them all off. I'm gonna make another cut. The first cut I made was really sloppy. I'm gonna make another cut. This is a kitchen shears. I'll see if it'll work. Let's see if this is sharp enough. Yeah, it is. So I'll make a cut there. More likely the roots will probably come out here or even up there. So let's put it in our bottle, the one I've been having a lot of good luck with. Got 2 plants propagated from that bottle, and put it in the kitchen on the windowsill and see how long this takes. So here's our root cutting, or not root cutting, but our cutting. So we're indoors now in the kitchen, and we've got our cutting, our variegated sage cutting, and then our magic bottle. This is my souvenir from the Coke Museum in Atlanta, and I've gotten pretty good luck with it, so hopefully it hasn't run out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with some water. This is from a filter. And you put some water in there. And then I'm going to stick this cutting in there. And then put it back on the windowsill. And hopefully we'll get some roots. I found that the kitchen has a pretty constant temperature since we're indoors. So I think that helps it a lot. It doesn't get too hot and it doesn't get too cold. And then also we have some pretty good lighting for it. So let's see how it goes, and I'll be sure to update you with the results. And last up, I want to show you a couple of different types of jasmine flowers. These are the types of flowers that they put in jasmine tea. They're really fragrant, and jasmine tea is one of my favorite types of tea. Okay, on the left you have the more common Maiden of Orleans jasmine, and on the right is a Mysore Muli. And I want to show you this because it's pretty interesting when I took apart this Mysore Muli and what I discovered. So let's take it apart. It comes off in layers, so if you pull it out gently, whoops, I did it too hard. I'm gonna have to get another one. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got another Mysore Muli jasmine flower, and I'm gonna do this again. I think the trick is to pinch off the end because they're attached down here. Let's pinch it off right here. Okay, I may have done too much because oh, here we go. So you got one that comes off like this, and then you have another one, and then the last one. So that's pretty cool. It's like 3 of these Maiden of Orleans on top of each other. So you put them all on top of each other, you get a Mysore Muli. So that's pretty cool. So that's it for this video. Today we planted a variegated blood banana, and we found a variegated mutation on sage. We took a cutting, and hopefully it will propagate. The camera's reversed, I can't point right, but there it is. And then we saw this jasmine that has a really cool formation in how it's basically one of the varieties and has 3 petals just stacked on top of each other, which is very cool and very awesome. So thanks for watching, and as always, happy gardening, and I will catch you next time.